youngsters. Great chance here. That does it. Steve McGavin. And for the first time, Colchester United have won a major final.
Still Garcia, finally the company arrives and it's in! It's a freak-out goal from Ricardo Carvalho. Richard Garcia wants the credit and the shock is on at the bridge.
And it's promotion for Colchester United. They've made it into the Championship for the first time in 69 years.
Porter, being held, there is Porter, and that's Maka!
Welcome to Beyond the Barside, the podcast that covers all things Colchester United. I am Aaron J and I am joined, as always, by Si and Dave. I would ask how you were, but we are post-Barrow, where the U's fell to a 1-0 defeat away at Barrow. Si, Colchester lost 1-0 to a side who had previously lost 6 on the bounce. How horrendous was your day out?
So my day out was quite good. There was 90 minutes that was really bad, but the rest of the sort of 20 odd hours, however long it was fairly decent. Now, obviously Barrow hadn't came off the back of that losing streak. They lost to Shrewsbury on Tuesday. Barrow hadn't got a single point in 2026. Just got a new manager appointed. And lo and behold, on Valentine's Day, we rock up with a loving gift and pretty much gives them 3 points. I know no one holds gun to our heads and makes us go on these away days. I'm very, very aware of that. And it's the luck of the draw. You don't get to pay double if we do really well, so you can't necessarily ask for money back on the way back if we do badly. But it's the manner of the defeat. We just looked miles off. In no disrespect to Barrow, the squad we took up there is better than a 1-0 defeat to Barrow. We should have done so much more. Always talk about the takeover, falling foul, or falling flat, deflates the situation, or we've got injuries, we've got this, we've got that. Nah. This is firmly on the players and a bit of the selection.
In what respects the selection?
Well, to take Payne out of the 10, fine. If Danny wants to mix it up and put Romeo Akatura in there, that's completely up to him, it's his team. But to me personally, I don't think playing Payne deep works. We not only lose Payne's creativity, I think we also stifle Reed because he hasn't got the partner next to him. Maybe he does the stuff that's needed as more of a holding stroke box-to-box midfielder. Like when you got Bishop and Barbrook at the bench, play one of those two.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play Payne, keep Payne on the bench and come on and make an impact. Don't almost try and play someone else at the 10 and shoehorn Payne in when we have. It's not like we've got those injuries where we need to do that. We've got players who are good at what they do and are able to play in that position. So I felt we should have, that should maybe as a thing we can look back on, I think that could have been an issue. But yeah, and in front of goal, we're doing the basics. We couldn't stay on the side, missing from 6 yards out. It was like watching a really bad Sunday League side.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the general outlook from many U's fans who watched the game. Dave, you said in the group chat during the game that the first half felt particularly flat. I think your words were, "We'll struggle to get 5 minutes out of that."
Yeah.
What was missing from it, mate?
Bravery and the same thing as we've been missing recently. I mean, and we haven't scored many goals at all. Really, I mean, obviously that's 3 games out of 4 now, and even before that, penalty at Gillingham, penalty against MK. What else am I thinking of? Fleetwood, couple of decent goals, but we're struggling. It's because we're not being brave enough. We've got the players to be able to make incisive passes, to be able to be inventive, but we just aren't doing it. The amount of runs. I mean, Lisby didn't really impact the game yesterday, but the amount of runs he made without the ball even getting anywhere near him and players turning back. And like we always say, it's not a case of doing the same thing every single time. Doesn't always have to try it. But if you try it once or twice and Lisby gets to one, even if he almost gets to the first one, the other team go 2 yards back. More space to whoever's in the 10. Payne, Akachakwu, whoever. We just didn't do it. It was so conservative, and we allowed them to play the game on their terms, really. So yeah, we weren't incisive at all. We didn't try to be incisive. Don't necessarily mind if they're trying to pass it, just goes over. Okay, fine. It's not always going to come off, but try it and use your strengths. What does every team say? What would most 9 fans out of 10 Cole U fans say? What is our strengths? Pace, power, transition. Didn't use it. Just got it. Didn't. And I 100% agree. So I had Jack Payne in centre mid. You lose a lot of him. Ultimately it's League Two. Jack Payne, for his stature, is a strong guy. You look at how he gets stuck in, gets involved, and comes out winning the ball. You wouldn't expect it. But like I said, we're not bare bones now. You got Barbrook on the bench. You got Bishop on the bench, who Danny I'll come on to, but Danny was saying his back had stiffened up on the way up. It was better in the second half, slightly. I mean, Akachukwu, I think, really, he was probably our most creative player. I thought he did pretty well in the second half. Got us into some good position, but again, we're trying to be too precise, not putting the ball into the box. This is League Two. You don't have to always be precise. 100% that is the case. And then when we did get chances, I mean, this is a callback to 4 months ago now. Do your job. It is unforgivable to not hit the target from 6 yards on your strong foot.
It's harder to miss. I generally think it'd be harder to miss.
And that is ultimately what. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. We would all like to have a career where our ceiling was a League One footballer, I'm sure. But it's that, for all his physical attributes and his aggression and his attitude. I think he's got a great attitude in general. But Samson is not a finisher. And we've got enough body of evidence now to show that. A very similar one at Bristol Rovers, didn't he? And the goal, I was in line with it. The Goodwin's goal, I was in line with it. He was offside, Samson. Yeah. Absolutely no need to be offside.
You see on the replay, you see on the highlight show as well.
Oh yeah, I was right in line. They said Goodwin was offside. It wasn't. No, I was right in line. As soon as that pass, I can't remember who played it. It might have been Akachukwu, but as soon as his leg came back to play the pass, I thought, I'll get back onside, Samson. Please. And he didn't. And it was the right decision. And then, yeah, and it goes back. Maybe I have jinxed it. When you said, 2-3 weeks ago, we need to stop doing this against the poor teams. And I said, no, we're going to change this narrative. And 2 weeks in a row, we beat Shrewsbury, but we didn't play well. And we didn't. We let a Barrow, a poor team. They're going to be all right with regards to relegation, but they're a poor team. They've doubled us and we haven't scored. Yeah, and it's just too many players not contributing as they should, I think. And it all comes to a head. The back four and Macy, no complaints there. I thought Araujo was really good. He was Mr. Right Place, Right Time yesterday. So I think they can all hold their heads up. And Reed did what he could. But no one, and Akachakwu, as I said, but no one else really. And do we want to talk about Goodwin? I don't like giving people grief.
But the grief of it is we take that extra touch, we're trying to do that extra step over instead of playing the pass at Sonal. We'll eventually play the correct pass 2 or 3 passes too late. Like you said, you hit the head with Samson. It's schoolboy stuff. Get yourself back on side, hold your runs. We've all it's what you do for a living. You know what I mean? It's not like you sat in the park on Sunday going, oh yeah, try and curve your runs, this and this. Oh yeah, I'll try and not understand it. It's not doing. Dave's harped on about, and he's completely right. We've got to do the basics right, and we just did not do that. And then obviously we gave that stupid free kick away, another one of our trademarks, the dangerous position, needless foul. They're going to score from it. It's just, yeah. We might as well call this episode, we just keep playing it back. Seems like we're saying the same thing at the moment.
I mean, we'll reflect on something positive, Dave. You mentioned Romeo Akachukwu being a really creative outlet within that second half, or at least one of the more creative players in a side that didn't really create much. He's made his full debut coming in for Teddy Bishop. Obviously, that drops Jack Payne back. We've spoken about the effect it had on Jack Payne, but how would you assess Romeo Akachukwu generally as a sort of young man making his debut or his full debut for the club?
Yeah, I was impressed with him. He reminded me, the way he moves and the way he takes the ball, reminded me a lot of Mbik, actually. He's clearly quite physically impressive. He's strong, good touch, and didn't always come off, but you could see he had a picture of what was going on. There was one where he did really well. Defender, he controlled the ball, turned the defender who hit him quite hard, and still managed to slip it into Lisby, who put it across, didn't find anyone. So yeah, he did really well. He's did himself a lot of favours. You know, Cambridge we'll come on to Cambridge obviously later, but they're a very robust side. He certainly looked from that 90 minutes to be capable of playing in that sort of game. Now, whether or not Danny thinks wanted to get a game against Barrow would be a nice game for him to come into and get a first start. But maybe, but again, sorry to move off of Akachukwu and back to the others. Why not put Barbrook in? If the thinking is, you know, we've lost Bishop from the midfield, let's put in a light for light, because Barbrook did well in the time he's played. So, and then as soon as the goal was scored, and this is what I come back to about big players not taking their moments, and straight after they score, ball across the box, Teddy Bishop, 10 yards out? Just, he's got to score. It's straight at the keeper, and I think that kind of almost sums his time at Colchester up, really. And we were off on a bit of a tangent here, and so what we were speaking about before we started recording. We all know we've got a lot of players whose contracts are up. Not entirely sure of who's got an option to take, who hasn't. But as it stands, you know, there's a lot of significant players whose contracts are up. I dare say we'll talk about it in more detail as we get towards the end of the season on the pod. But I'll prefix this like I do every time we talk about Teddy Bishop. He is a fantastic footballer. He's brilliant. If you just took it, you know, if you took his FIFA stats, whatever he'd be right there, maybe even our best player. But he is on, relative to our structure, I'm sure he's on a significant wage. Are you going to get 20 games out of him guaranteed a season? So you're going to get 30 games guaranteed. Maybe 20's a bit. It's not fair. I don't think you are. And then when you're looking at, we're going to have, whether if the takeover's still going ahead, if the takeover's
don't
gone
mention
through,
the takeover, Dave.
Yeah, sorry, we'll beep that. That'll be our first ever beep for that. Yeah, but
Say something so bad.
Yeah, but when those are up, and if we're going to have to decide that not all of them will stay. And you know, if you've got to choose between whether, you know, it's Ellis, Reed, Payne, in centre midfield, I'd have Reed over Bishop. And like I said, I think Bishop is brilliant, but I think we might have to cut our losses with him. As good as he can be, and the influence that we all hoped he'd have, he's not been able to have it. You know, for not necessarily his fault. You know, injuries, lack of momentum. You know, so he's not. And I said to you guys before, can you think of a moment for Teddy Bishop that was that's the moment, the Teddy Bishop moment while playing for Col U? I can't really. And it's a
That's
shame.
an
It's
interesting
a
one to
shame.
consider. Particularly, some listeners may well have a Teddy
Yeah,
Bishop moment
absolutely.
that
I
they
might
want to
have.
reflect on.
The one I think
Ju-
of is the shot against the post with the last kick of the game against Doncaster. But that's it, really.
yeah,
And he's threatened a lot to take control of a game, but never really carried it through. And like I said, really disappointing for him, I think. But when we get down to the nitty gritty, is the return on the investment in him, salary wise and injury wise, rehabilitation. You'd argue probably not. I think.
Y- I don't. I definitely see where you're coming from. To play sort of devil's advocate a little bit there, Dave. Do you feel like the injuries we've had elsewhere, in terms of the lack of depth within the middle of midfield, has
Yeah.
maybe changed how we would have used Teddy Bishop from the beginning of the season?
No,
You would
that's
imagine with Ben Perry
yeah.
and Dominic Gape, they would have been your two sixes that Ben Perry would have played the bulk of the game, and Dominic Gape potentially comes in for those sort of latter stages. On the other hand, in the 8, we were sort of expecting Teddy Bishop to take that role and Arthur Reed to sort of interchange with him, and they were going to sort of complement one another and give each other sort of breathers as and when needed. It's panned out that Arthur Reed's been able to withstand a heavy workload and loads of games and an intense amount of pressure due to the fact that there hasn't been much depth and he hasn't been able to have much respite. Whereas Teddy Bishop has come to us a player that's struggled with injuries and the physical side of the game. He's been, unfortunately, subjected to a situation where he has had to play and his body has broken down at times.
Yeah, and no, it's absolutely a valid point. And if it comes down to it, and he does sign a new contract, I will not be disappointed.
No, not at all.
He's an excellent player. I'm probably boring you, or boring the listeners by keep saying that. But you are. It's very valuable what you say, but Arthur Reed's in the same position, you could argue, and he's retuned his game, and he's now our guy in midfield, and we all thought he would be Bishop. So yeah, like it's just how I feel about it, and just trying to look at it, completely objectively, looking at it emotionally. I'm going to say it again. I think Teddy Bishop is brilliant. I want him to play for us for a long time. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty of finances, squad building at the end of the year, I feel like that is probably that could be the decision that's made.
Let's be fair, he's nobody Harvey, is he?
Why have I opened that door?
Well, I'm not being funny. You've just been telling about how good Teddy Bishop is. We got rid of him, so we'll try and give at least one of our players a bit of a G up.
Yeah. I mean,
you are right. Sorry, Aaron. I think Dave's completely right there. It's because of the injuries, what's happened with the plans have been blown out of the water. We've seen a different variation of squad, and maybe Bishop was one of those players that we kind of don't know what we've got till he's gone, and we think, oh, maybe we just didn't use him properly.
Mm-hmm. Both points extremely valid. I would say that I'd move things on to a more positive note. I'm not. I'm going to go back to the Barrow game. Si, during the game, you sort of mentioned on the group chat that you felt the U's dropped to Barrow's level. Having had a little bit of time to reflect on it, do you still stand by that assessment?
No, I think Barrow dropped to our level.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, no, I do. And it's because I don't know if we went up there overconfident or we were in a sort of mindset where we just beat Shrewsbury. They lost to Shrewsbury on Tuesday. They haven't won a game all year, calendar year, etc., etc., etc. Whether we had a mindset issue where we thought it was going to be easy, then when things weren't going quite well for us, we just fell flat and didn't kind of realise what was going on. And then the players weren't executing the plan that was put in front of them. I don't really know, but we definitely dropped to their level. And no matter how you sugarcoat it, it was not good enough.
No, it certainly wasn't. And to drop points, let alone 3 points, to a side that have lost 6 games on the bounce and haven't got a point in 2026 isn't acceptable. And I think Danny was quite honest in his assessment of the performance after the game. Danny described it as a mid-table performance. Is that a fair reflection of where this side currently sits, or at least how they performed?
Well, they perform, yeah. You can't argue it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's the frustrating thing. That's why we're sat here. That's why me and Si, when we bumped into each other at the services on the way back, we both had the same expression on our face. And then the whole drive back. That episode of The Simpsons, I think, where Homer wants to buy a gun, but he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to have it for 5 days, and he keeps just muttering to himself under his breath for 5 whole days about how angry he is about it. That was kind of my my drive home yesterday.
Like I said to you when I bumped into you, David, I think it was the first time I've been relieved we don't record on the day of a game.
Yeah, it would have been an emotional record yesterday.
Maybe we start doing that, you know.
Yeah, actually, yeah. But
You lose your PG rating, mate.
I think we'd veer more on the side of sort of Arsenal fan TV, which
we do not want that.
We don't want that to happen.
No, and it was really nice of the Highways Agency to close the M11 as well, just to give us another 20 minutes to really appreciate the whole sorry episode. But I say that, like Si, apart from football, I had a lovely time. I went up the day before, me and my son had a nice dinner, had a lovely breakfast. It was just a shame there was a football match that took place.
The FA Cup games are good to listen to. They were entertaining on the way home.
Yeah, but it was those performances, and it was exactly what Danny said. And where I was getting to, it's frustrating because we said it every week. I don't think this is a mid-table squad. It's not. So that's the thing. And I think that's probably the same thing that frustrates Danny as well.
I could imagine it does. And speaking of the squad, Colchester never really looked like scoring. This sort of frailties in the final third were really evident, I think. But we're obviously absent. We've obviously got a notable absentee in Micah Mbick. Are we missing the presence and impact of Micah Mbick at the moment?
We are. But the two forwards, if you put Sampson and Goodwin into that bracket, were the two that we were expecting to be the main men, and Mbick would be the lone player who kind of fit in around, maybe did the cup games or came on for the last 10 minutes if one of them was fatigued. See, he's come out and blown all that out of the water and become like our number one striker for the year. So if you take away that fact, we do miss him, but the people we've got on there should be capable of hitting the target from 6 yards out. I'm not being funny. This morning, in torrential rain, we went up to Mile End, Sunday League team, play a game of football. I guarantee you, if someone had missed a goal like that, they'd have been getting absolutely ridiculed in the pub afterwards. So this is our low level of football. So at that level, where it's your job, you're doing it, you're training day in, day out, you're practicing, you're just, it's unforgivable. It really is. As Dave said it, you said it. It's, as a professional in any occupation, if your job is to hit the target, then you have to hit that target.
Because actually, when I watched it back, I didn't realise he was a lot more central than I thought as well. I thought at the time he was pretty much in line with the post. So it was almost, but it was
central, unmarked,
quite something.
Had time, and still,
it's certainly a game that if you reflect on it too much, you could drive yourself insane. So I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up. Just one final point, Dave. There was some unrest at full time involving Kyrie's Lisby and a supporter. A lot of Col U fans are quite vocal in their opinion of Kyrie's at the moment, questioning whether his head is fully in the right place at the moment. I'm just sort of looking to get your perspective on that. Sorry to throw you on the spot there.
That's fine. No.
It was a 50-50 between you two.
So
I've got a opinion.
This is I think in general. So I mean, Lisby hasn't been really affected the last couple of games, but I don't think it's due to lack of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I think maybe his judgment, decision making has been a bit cloudy. I mean, there was, to jump back to the game, there was one in the first half where he got the ball exactly where he wanted it to be, went around the outside of his defender, then didn't really do anything. And that was the only real chance we had to get behind him in the first half. But it wasn't. There was I had my arms folded. That was there were people were applauding. I've got no issue with that. I mean, like I said, it wasn't through lack of effort. It was lack of quality. And then Lisby, who was sort of the last one off after the players came over to applaud the fans, and he got a bit of stick, unjustified in my opinion, from some people. And whether it's Kyrie's Lisby or I think any footballer who is getting abuse, I'm all for them not going over the top, having a pop back. Why not? They're human beings. They're at work. It's fine as long as it doesn't take you too far. Just gives there's verbals coming to him. Give some verbals back. Fine. I don't. That's sort of the extent of my opinion on it. Really, I don't. He shouldn't really have been in that position. He's given a bit back. He's got to change the room. End of.
End of indeed. Well, we'll put this game to bed a little bit, and I have put it out for one-word reviews. You were quite you judged me a little bit with how late I put these one-word reviews out.
We had started
13 responses, Dave. So who's
that's
the
not
real winner?
Well,
You've got 13 social media accounts. Jesus.
13 burner
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
One burner phone is one too many, Aaron.
Some of them are really, really, really prominent in the social media space of Colchester United as well. Anyway, we have some responses. We've got James went with lackluster. Martin went with disappointing. Terry went with unacceptable. Russell naive. Ollie miserable. And Danny worrying. Si, what's your one-word review?
Amateurish.
Amateurish.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough. Yeah.
We were nowhere near the level required for pressure side. We weren't doing what professional footballers should have been doing, the execution and their facilitation of the game, and it was just amateurish.
I think that's completely fair enough. Dave, what are you going for?
Tepid. It was just it was neither one thing or the other, really, and we allowed a poor team off the hook, and just nothing much else to say about it. It just shouldn't have happened, and we made it happen. We let it happen.
No, and it's really. I saw something on social media where someone said that Cambridge United is the perfect opportunity for a response. We've had a very disappointing performance on the Saturday. We now have an opportunity to make amends on the Tuesday. So we'll move into the Cambridge game. But before we discuss it, I spoke to Jordan from Under the Abbey Stand to get an opposition view and hear how Cambridge think they're going to get on against Colchester. Welcome back to Beyond the Barside, and it is time for our opposition view. And I'm joined by Jordan from Under the Abbey Stand, who has kindly given up his time to talk us through Tuesday's game against Cambridge. Jordan, thank you very much for joining me. Second in the league, nice 3-1 win over Bristol Rovers. How would you summarise Cambridge's season so far?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Aaron. It's always nice to talk about your club when they are winning, which is a rarity. For Cambridge. And yeah, I think like the last 3-4 seasons before this one, despite staying in League One, there was not a lot of wins on display. Also great beating Steve Evans on the weekend, so love that. Yeah, it's been a terrific season. I really hope we don't sort of bottle it from here. It would be a real shame to not sort of see it through. But it has been terrific season so far, really unexpected. The week that we've just had actually just sort of shows how good a season it's been. Like our last two games, we beat Bristol 3-1 and we beat Crawley 3-0. Well, both of those teams finished above us in League One last year. Obviously, still came down, but were, arguably better sides than us. So you look at them in sort of 21st, 22nd, and Shrewsbury, who also came down, not doing too much better than that as well. And you see where we are, and it's night and day. And I think it's a real testament to quite a few things that have gone on at the club behind the scenes. But yeah, it's been a terrific season, and I think one of the interesting things about this season it's been how the team and specifically Neil Harris in charge of the team has adapted. He's changed formations, he's changed approaches to styles of football, and it's been a real development season. And I've seen us, I don't want to get ahead of things now and say the P word, but I have seen us promoted 3 times as a Cambridge fan, and every time that we've had the promotion that I've seen, we've started the season like a house on fire, and then it sort of tailed off, and we kind of sort of limped across the line. And this year, and I'm not saying that we will get promoted, and I hope we do. It's kind of the opposite. We've kind of grown into the season, and it's we came to your place and won, but that was probably one of the few decent results from the first couple of months of the season, and then we lost to Notts County. When was that? Like October? And then since then, we've been on this incredible run of form. We went 14 unbeaten. Then, of course, went and lost to bottom of the table Harrogate, which was an accumulator buster. But have bounced back with 2 really impressive victories since then, and I think it's 9 wins in 11 for us. So it's a really, really good purple patch. Long may it continue.
Yeah, I mean, I tipped Cambridge to be right up there when we did our preview episode at the beginning of the season. So in some ways, I'm really glad that's happening. In other ways, I'm disappointed that it's happening potentially at the expense of us on Tuesday. But we've just come out of a transfer window. Did Cambridge pick anyone up during that window?
We did. And this is going to be an interesting one. If we get the job done and we go up, I think January will be looked on as a good period. If we don't, I think people will be asking why, when we've had key sort of attacking players either out injured or coming back from injury, why we didn't recruit more in attacking areas, specifically wide players. Obviously centre forwards as well, which is a tricky position to sign in January. We got Elliot Nevitt on loan from Gillingham, who seems to be sort of more of a squad player, a bit of a bench warmer. But it was assumed that we would probably get, I don't know, 1 or 2 sort of attacking players, either sort of a 10 or wide players, the classic kind of Championship or Prem youngster on loan, and we just didn't. So if the season pans out how I want it to, I think they'll be let off the hook there. But it definitely raised some eyebrows when the window closed and we hadn't signed those positions. We did add a couple of people in the window. So Elliot Nevitt that I mentioned there on loan from Gillingham is sort of out and out number 9. We also signed God, where did we sign him from? Was he from Portsmouth? He definitely made his name at Portsmouth. A centre back called Raggett, and he came on.
Yeah.
He came on at the weekend, and I think that was a signing that wasn't foreseen. But one of the things that has gone on this season is Neil Harris has moved from playing a back 4 to a back 3. And Michael Morrison's been out injured a couple of times, so it's kind of makes sense that we brought him in. A vastly experienced player, has won promotion from this league and from League One. So yeah, really fits the mold. So a couple of good signings, but not as many as perhaps we were thinking. But the whole time through January, and this is again is a first as a Cambridge fan, everyone was just quite chilled out about it all. Things were going well, unbeaten on the pitch, progressing up the league. We were at second at one point, dropped back down, back up to second. Obviously now, it's weird to go through a January window where everyone is quite relaxed about things. So yeah, didn't sign as many as we thought we would, but at the same time, everyone seems on board with it and backing the players that we've got and the club's vision.
Yeah, and the vision. I listened to your conversation that you had with Mark Bonner and forgive me, I've forgotten his name, but
Alex Tunbridge,
Alex Tunbridge,
CEO.
at the beginning of the season, and it was very much highlighted that there's a long-term vision and a goal for Cambridge United, and they were very keen to get people on board with that vision. And I think that seems to be the case from what I'm seeing from Cambridge fans in that sort of online space. And on the pitch, it is working really, really well. But which players should Colchester fans be most wary of?
There is a couple of names, and I think one of the things this season undoubtedly have one of the better budgets in the division. Not the top one or two for sure. Certainly not MK Money and things like that. But I think it's a rarity that we've had a position where we've been really impressed by the depth that we've had in our squad. So I look at Saturday's victory against Bristol Rovers and some of the people that came off the bench. You know, Shane Lavery's played international football. Raggett, I was just talking to you about, has won the League One title. Peli Radek came on as a sub. He's played in the Prem not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So got a really good, strong, deep squad at the moment, which is really like encouraging, and it is the secret behind why we've been doing so well. Been able to sort of chop and change when players have been needing that rest. In terms of picking out a couple of specific names, I've got to go with number 14. There's something about the number 14 shirt. Last time we got promoted from this division, Wes Houlihan was wearing number 14. This year it's a guy called Ben Knight, who I believe, although local to Cambridge, I believe he went through the Ipswich youth team, got sold to Man City quite young. I think he might have been about 15, 16. They sold him for a large fee. He got coached under Pep. I think he played in the Community Shield final. It didn't pan out for him at Man City. He went and played a couple of unsuccessful loan moves. I think he ended up in Spain. He joined us in the summer unattached, had a really slow start to the season, had a great first game on opening day of the weekend, but then slowly sort of the form dropped off and was out of the team. I don't think he featured when we came to Colchester. I think by that point he'd been sort of relegated down to the subs bench or not even making the matchday squads. But he's really found his feet and has really lit up over the last few weeks. He scored twice on Saturday. I think he's up to sort of 8-9 goals now. He won the division's player of the month for January, alongside Neil Harris winning manager of the month. So he's the star boy at the moment. He is hot property for us. And if he has a good game on Tuesday, it will hopefully mean a victory.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that he came through at Ipswich and went. I knew he was Man City, a Man City product. I hadn't realised that there was an Ipswich link too.
Is that a bad thing? Yeah.
Well, usually when Colchester get ex-Ipswich players, they're in their sort of mid to late 30s. So it's interesting to see a club do it the other way round. But for travelling supporters going to Cambridge, and I've lived in Cambridge for a couple of years, and I don't know the answer to this question. For travelling supporters, what is the best away pub to go to?
That is a great question. It's a shame. It's a Tuesday night rather than a Saturday, like a nice sort of Saturday session in Cambridge. There's a good few pubs to go to. For those that have been to the Abbey before, haven't, and Tuesday's going to be their first time, there's not actually a lot near the ground in terms of food and drink. So your best bet, whether you be getting the train or whether you be driving down, is to aim for a residential part of Cambridge called Mill Road. It's sort of around the train station area. There's some great pubs around there. The Kingston Arms, the Petersfield, the White Swan, the Empress, the Earl of Beaconsfield. They're all sort of, in a group of streets that are sort of all sort of backing onto each other. And it's a short walk from there to the ground. You could probably get to the ground in, say, 20 minutes. There's a couple of those pubs that I've listed there, which are close to Coldham's Common, which is sort of where the away end is as well. So those are good ones. If you've got the time and you want to venture into the city centre itself, I always recommend the Eagle, which is kind of a bit touristy, but it's got a strong history of various bits in there. There's like an RAF bar out the back, which has loads of sort of graffiti from soldiers in World War II. And it's also the pub that the DNA structure was announced to the world. What was it? Crick and Watson, I think their names are. I could be getting that wrong. They were based in a laboratory opposite the pub, and they used to spend their lunchtimes in there. And there's a big plaque up about it. So yeah, if you've got the time to venture into town, that would be a good one to go for. But yeah, like I said, it's a shame it's a Tuesday because it kind of limits things. But you can get buses from the city centre that go down Newmarket Road, so there are options there.
Yeah, and if you get in the train, be prepared for a little bit of a walk, as it's not as close as similar to Colchester. Really, it's not as close to the station as perhaps you'd like it to be. But in terms of the match, how do you see it playing out?
I think it'll be a difficult one. I'm a little bit worried about sort of the fatigue. We played Tuesday night last week, and going Saturday, Tuesday so much, like what it might mean for fitness levels and how that might impact how we might press and play. So we have struggled a couple of times on Tuesday night, so I'm a little bit worried about that. I'm also just, for years and years of being a Cambridge United fan, I look at things like winning 6 in a row or winning 2 back to back as we've just done, and winning 9 in 11. I just think that can't continue. That can't keep happening. We can't keep winning. So there's a real irrational part of me that's like, I've got to, you go into games, you go, can't just be winning these all the time. So I think it'll be a tricky game. We don't concede many goals, so can't imagine it being a particularly high scoring game. I've said earlier, as a team, we've been developing in quite a few ways, and finding the net has been one of those, because earlier in the season we didn't score that many. But we have, I think we bagged sort of 15 in the last sort of 5 or 6 games. So we seem to be turning a corner and finding the net ourselves. Having said that, I think it might be a bit cagey on Tuesday night, maybe a bit end to end, but not high scoring. So I am going to go with 1-1 on Tuesday.
Wise. That is what everyone on our podcast has gone for as well. So you're in good company there. But Jordan, thank you very much for joining me and sharing your insights. And beyond Tuesday, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, Aaron.
Huge thank you to Jordan for sharing his insights into the game coming up on Tuesday. But obviously, the opposition view isn't the only view that we are after. Si, Dave, Colchester United will be travelling to the Under The Abbey Stadium on Tuesday. After falling to a 1-0 win away at Barrow, we now face a
1-0
side
defeat.
1-0 defeat.
Wishful thinking now.
1-0 win for Barrow, I guess. I'll try and scramble out of it at some time.
1-0 win.
Yeah, fall into their 1-0. I don't know. We lost at Barrow. We weren't very good. We're now facing a team that are second in the league. It's not the easiest fixture to come back against, is it? Dave, Cambridge come into this off the back of a 3-1 win over Bristol Rovers. Tell me a little bit about the challenge ahead.
Well, it's they're a very strong team, and like you do want, for a quick turnaround, it is good to play against a team that's really going to test you, because it really focuses the mind. I would rather it was a team like Notts County or maybe a Swindon or a Chesterfield, a team that would come at us. Or I'm not sure. I'm not saying Cambridge won't come at us, but a team who are quite fluid and flexible and allow us sort of maybe leave some space and allow us a bit to make inroads with our transition play. But no, but Cambridge are just a really well drilled, strong, disciplined unit, and that could, if the players might fully understand if they're feeling a bit down, maybe confidence has been affected now. They're a team that can really grind you down.
Yeah, they can.
And then take advantage of any insecurities. And I think they've strengthened. I didn't realise they'd signed Raggett.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's relatively new. Was that, or did I just miss it before? But they got I think last week they won a match where they brought on from the bench and Panzu and Don Ball. So yeah, it's we got a strong bench as well, but that's a real League Two grit, determination, knowledge bench to really that can really push a team to the top of the table.
Yeah, and I mean, even yesterday they brought on Peli Radukampanzu off the bench, Raggett off the bench, Elliot Nevitt off the bench, Shane Lavery off the bench, and there was one more they brought on, Corey Smith off the bench. All really experienced EFL players that have been there and done it. And if you're looking to finish a game and either see out a victory or try and nick something towards the end, those sort of wily heads are always really useful to have coming into the side. We do need to bounce back. It's going to be a difficult game in many respects to bounce back against. But Si, what is the key to responding after a disappointing defeat?
I think we've got to put Barrow to bed. That's done. That's dusted. Go on and see the man there had to day off. They're going to go in tomorrow morning. Very much like, right, it's a new week. Let's put that behind us and look forward. That's the direction we're going in. We've got Cambridge. They play XYZ. We're going to do ABC in order to counter that, play our game, do it our way. And we need to go out there as much as we can, confident in how we can play, not dwelling on how we did play against Barrow. And the mindset's going to be very, very key because, as Dave's alluded to, Cambridge are a side that are quite happy to let their opposition have the ball, to sit deep, then punish you. At times, we've been quite guilty of getting caught out in transition or not maybe making the right decisions at the right time. So we're going to need everybody to go out on Tuesday to prove a point, to show everyone that Barrow was a blip. We can't get away from what happened up there. It's happened, it's done, it's dusted. We put that to bed, right? But this is the real us. This is what we're really all about. This is how we can play football. And it would be such a Cole U thing, though, to go there on Tuesday night and put them to the sword.
Well, it's two sides of the same coin, isn't it? Because it's very Cole U to go to a side like Barrow, who haven't won in 6 games and lose. But then it is also very Cole U to go to a side like Cambridge, who are second in the league, and turn them over. So I think you're completely right with that side. It's one of those things where form does go out the window sometimes with Colchester United. Dave, Cambridge are second in League Two. You've spoken a little bit about how resolute and experienced and sort of gritty they are as a side. But does their league position reflect sort of the level that they're at?
Yeah, I think so. I'm actually just looking at my phone now, flicking through their last few results. I mean, they lost to Harrogate a couple of weeks ago.
They were too full from eating in the canteen.
And they probably look back on that as, a net gain. I mean, if they got to eat at Harrogate, but still lost. But so they lost the game at Harrogate, which I think they're only defeating like 15 or 16 games. So in some ways, it would have been nice if they hadn't, because that might be the difference between Cambridge as a team who are going for autos and us, a good team. They lost to Harrogate. They've won the next 2 games. They've won 3-0 away, 3-1 at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. That really is like what you just said, Si. Flicking the switch, that's done, gone. And getting back to it and becoming hyper focused. I mean, and they're scoring goals as well. Averaging sort of the last few games, 4 against Tranmere, 3 away at Oldham, 3 away at Crawley, 3 at home at Bristol Rovers. So they're clearly resolute, but it also looks like they're clicking going forward. So
Only MK and Bromley have got a better goal difference to them.
Yeah, so I mean they're a really good side, and it's.
But like we said, let's just talk about, oh my God, how are we going to cope with Cambridge?
Mm-hmm.
We're a good team if they can show, if they can do what we want them to do, turn off, because Barrow was a little bit different to the other defeats. Crewe, we were decimated and did well in those circumstances, I believe. Grimsby, we played all right. Grimsby had a man sent off, and it wasn't so much that we let them off the hook. It was more that they defended incredibly. They performed really well, I think, Grimsby.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Barrow one's a bit of a that's on us. That is all on us. And if they can switch it around, we got good players.
Yeah, we have.
Teddy Bishop might come in. He didn't play as many minutes as he was supposed to at the weekend because of an issue with his back, apparently, due to the coach journey. He comes in fresher. It's a shorter journey. He could come and win us that game.
And we get a Teddy Bishop moment.
You would imagine
we get our Teddy Bishop moment.
He's from that way as well, isn't he? From like Whittlesea, which isn't too far from Cambridge. So you've got to sort of imagine that he'll have quite a few fans either in the away end or in the home end as well. So you've got to think he's probably going to be G'd up for it.
I hope so. And Lisby, if it was only a couple of fans that gave him a bit of stick at the end of the game.
I was just worried it was one of you two, to be honest.
No, we were walking out silently like Michael Cera in Arrested Development, you know that. And he seems the kind of guy to me who won't shy away. That's going to make him, I'm going to show you. And hope, that might benefit us.
Hopefully Cambridge will go into the game how we did against Barrow a little bit. Almost looking at how they've played previously and go, it's going to be a bit of easy for us. Take it a little, not go into it as...
Yeah. But there's... Sorry, Aaron, were you going to...
Oh, yeah, I was just going to sort of jump on what you said there, Si, about how that we were against them earlier in the season. I'm just sort of going to reflect on how they were against us. They were really sort of strong and resolute at our place earlier in the season. I was really impressed with how organised they were and how they could just sort of hit us on the break, and they were really difficult to break down. That's obviously away from home. At home, do you think they might be a little more open? Because traditionally, when sides are a little bit more open and they have to take the game to Colchester, we've been able to exploit it a little bit.
I think they'll certainly be slightly more open, but Neil Harris is a very pragmatic manager, very good manager. So they will know, as all teams do, where our strength lies. And they won't want to give us a cent of being able to get by. So I can see them even... They've got enough credit in the bank with this sort of one defeat in 15, 16 games.
Yeah.
That if they have to adapt to maybe play less openly at home against us to nullify our strengths, and Neil Harris, I think, is a manager that can certainly do that. It's not, like I said, I don't think it's going to be like going away to a Notts County.
Yeah. Their fans won't care. They're second in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll sit there and watch a boring 1-0 win, knowing full well that it's going to help their automatic process spot happily. It's when you go to mid-table teams that have got something to prove. It's when it's tough to sit behind the ball at home. Yeah,
and I think they're... correct me if I'm wrong, if either of you two have any differing information, but I think their fans... Neil Harris has got a similar sort of relationship with their fans that we have with the Cowleys. Insofar as that,
especially the fact that he was there, then he wasn't, and then he came back. I think they were really happy to see him return.
Yeah, and he's obviously so they'll sort of trust him.
And he's
sort of like
doing
we
well.
do.
They're going to trust the
Yeah,
process.
exactly. So I think that it might not necessarily play out for us in that respect. So.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair enough. I think you raise a really interesting point in the fact that yes, they're at home and fans are going to want to see a win. Maybe they don't care how that win looks at this particular point
No.
in the season, in the position that they're in. So I completely appreciate that. But Si, looking at Colchester United and sort of predicting how that team's going to look, had a little scan of social media during the day. Obviously, there's a little bit of doom and gloom, justifiably in many respects, given the performance that was put in away at Barrow. But a lot of youth fans have called for Jaden Williams to get the nod up front. Is that a change you'd consider?
Well, it's an option, isn't it? And over the last couple of games, Goodwin maybe hasn't. This is scored, but hasn't put in the performances we were hoping from him. Obviously, with Sampson missing the edge opportunity against Barrow, maybe it is a chance to put Williams in away from home and say, right, go out there, no fear, show us what you've got. With Lisbeth and Aurora on the wings with a bit of pace, take the man on, get the ball into the middle, see what he creates. So, yeah, it's an option, isn't it? I don't think Danny will make massive wholesale changes purely because the man management style he's got is he won't throw players necessarily under the bus for one or two poor performances for their confidence and their morale factors and the fact he likes to keep things the same. I think there'll be a change in midfield with if Barbacourt and Bishop next to Reed and Payne back in the 10. The back line will stay the same. Obviously, may still go and go. It'll just be a little maybe tweaking the final third, and why not give Williams a go? Every time he's come on, he's looked like he's trying to get into the game. He's looked effective. So
yeah, he looks
maybe he does.
enthusiastic.
And he was starting at the beginning of the season as well.
Yeah.
You sort of forget that. Admittedly, we didn't score many goals then, but that was for various reasons. So Danny does trust him enough to have started him earlier in the season. Before I go to you for score predictions, so I'm interested to know, it's going to be a sold out away end. There are over 1,000 away tickets sold.
Yes.
It's about 900, 1,000 ish.
900 to
900,000, jeez.
900, yeah, that's a hell of a stadium.
Ground.
Yeah,
They've
we're
really developed it.
massive.
But the away end's got to have a significant effect on the players, surely. When it's that busy, it's going to be quite a rowdy away end, you'd imagine. Cambridge away often is. Do you think that's going to galvanise the players a little bit to give that extra 5-10% that maybe we were missing against Barrow?
It will become clear within the first 10 to 15 minutes. And what I mean by that is if we start sharp, even nick an early goal, everyone will be absolutely buzzing behind the lads. It'll be fantastic. It'll be great. It'll be Notts County away all over again. Literally the whole place is bouncing. I do worry because it's the local and obviously it's sold out the away. We've got a lot of fans there. If it doesn't quite click quick enough, then I think there'll be a very shift in the attitude, the kind of, especially after what we saw the weekend.
And after the takeover as well.
Yeah, I think
I think the ideal first game post takeover falling through probably is Barrow away, because there aren't many people there that can sort of take their frustration to the game. Cambridge away, obviously there's going to be quite a lot of players there, quite a lot of supporters there. You can tell.
We normally take the same amount of players, to be fair, when we go to Barrow. Or
sometimes
I
we
agree,
take
there
a
will
few
be
subs.
players there.
There will be players there.
Well, to be fair, I didn't see many players at Barrow. That's half the problem.
Zing. But with the amount of supporters there, they're obviously going to be reflecting on that, the news that Alexandra Pato's consortium, the SAC, won't be completing their purchase of Colchester United. So if we do go a goal down, I think the frustrations of that potentially bubble over into that game. Do you think that's fair to say?
Maybe, and I think the nature of the Barrow performance and the fact we lost that game, it puts a lot more pressure on this one now. Because, like you said, you scrolled through social media, you see a lot of our playoffs are gone, playoffs are done. Yeah, they're not gone. We're still in touching distance, but there's so much pressure on these games, these next 3 games. I think because of that, if we'd have got 3 points at Barrow, 5 or 6 points out of the next 3 would have been all right. I think you need at least 7 now, and that is tough against who we're playing. And that tension and that pressure is probably more than the takeover. I think maybe be reflected in the mood depending on how the game starts, as Si says.
Well, to be fair, I think Aaron's really fanned the flames there by mentioning it. So anyone's listening to this on the way to the game now is going to get like really pumped up about the lack of a takeover. So any crowd trouble, we know where to
I
point.
didn't say a lack of a takeover. I said that the takeover proposed by the SAC group hasn't happened. I'm not one to say that a takeover isn't on the horizon. Who am I to know? I don't know. Maybe
you're really making.
Maybe there isn't. It's funny because I don't actually know, but just say it with the right inflection makes you think that there is. Anyway,
let's go back to score
the
predictions.
Cambridge. Let's go to the score predictions. Si, what are you going for?
1-1.
Goal scorer?
Lisby.
Nice. And then he tells someone to F off when he celebrates.
Hopefully, if you've known him, he'll probably run past the away fans, like cupping his ear or shushing him or something to really kick it off.
I like that part of his game. I like that he's got that about him. I think players need to have an air of character around them. So I hope that is the case. Dave, what are you going for?
I'm going to say 1-1 as well. And I think very quickly, I think a lot of comments that Danny made after the game were very similar to the comments he made after Gillingham at home, I think it was, where the first half we were just abject. And the changes made after that, I think it's going to be pretty similar. And I think actually Sampson will start up front. I think Goodwin will be on the bench. And Lisby and Awara will start on the wings.
Not bad too.
And I think Sampson will score.
I think that's fair enough. Well, given the fact that you two have gone for a 1-1, I sort of have to because that's the rule, isn't it?
Nah.
If we
worked
all predict
once.
the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm about to say, it's our run at the moment, mate. Just completely different.
Every time we do it now, it spectacularly fails.
Well, I'm going to go 1-1 and hope that it fails upwards and we actually win the game.
Or succeed might be a better word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the prediction fails, but it fails upwards. I think that's fine. But I'm going to go for a completely rogue goal scorer, and I'm going to go for Jaden Williams.
To be fair, I thought Dave was going for the rogue one.
Sorry. From everywhere, every direction this week.
Yeah, that's very good. Si, Dave, thank you very much for joining me and sharing your thoughts and insights. And hopefully we get at least a point or we get that win away at Cambridge.
Nice one.
Cheers,
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.